Welcome back to the Empire Sports of Mind podcast. The Rangers have been eliminated from the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion. The Knicks are in a series with the Miami Heat right now in the second round. The Jets and Giants both had their drafts. Aaron Rodgers' trade to the Jets is officially completed, and the Yankees have had a very disappointing start to the year. Usually, we start with our intro with Bob O'Reilly, but that song is associated with the Rangers. The Rangers, honestly, we're very disappointed with. We don't want to have any connections with the Rangers, and
No.
no
Uh,
intro.
I think we have to retire that intro for a little bit, Matthew, because it's going to be disappointing to hear that. Ranger season's over. They lose game seven in what seemed like it was a horrible game. I mean, they didn't score one goal. They went down 2-0, and and the game was. I think when they went down 1-0, you thought the game was over. It was like they had no heart. All the star players, Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider. I mean, look, he had 5 goals. I hate to kill him, but he was non-existent other than the power play. Guys like Tarasenko, he stepped up, but the main stars on the Rangers, the main core pieces, did not step up, and the young players, Kako, Lafreniere, and Hedel, were non-existent. They were non-forces as well. So the Rangers, look, it seemed like the Devils were obviously they were way faster than the Rangers. Rangers couldn't handle them every time they went into the zone, untouched, unchallenged. And at the end of the day, Devils won the game in seven. You got to give them credit. They were down 2-0, young team, inexperienced. Usually that maybe they could have got rattled, went down 3-0, the series is over. But credit to them, man. The young team stepped up, didn't care, went down 2-0, and won 4 of the remaining 5 games. So, kudos to them. But the Rangers, it was an absolute failure of the season.
hmm Yeah, believe me, we're going to talk about a lot of the things that went wrong. But before we do so, we have to keep some perspective. Let's talk about some of the good things. Obviously, the big one is Igor Shesterkin, a really good series. It's really unfortunate that obviously Game 7 he gave up a couple goals, but for games 3 through 5 he gave up like four regulation goals in 3 games, and they lost all 3 of those games. That's really that's just terrible. But a good on him at least. He was excellent all series. Even in Game 7, where you see like a misleading 875 save percentage, I think the Devils were expected to score 6 goals. He only let up 3. You really can't fault him at all. But no, also, I know you said Kreider. Kreider had 9.7 games, so I'm not really going to rip on him. 6 goals in 7 games too.
Yeah,
So I mean, overall, what else do you really want from him? Kane, he was just okay. It seemed like he was better than some of the other options out there, but he was just okay. And then the big, for me, really the spotlight was on that third defensive pairing, Braden Schneider and Nico Mikkola. That was the best Rangers defensive pairing to me. That was very locked down. It looked like Mikkola and Schneider, they were the only ones taking even good shots from the point. So definitely have to give them some credit. But otherwise, and we'll get into it, there's a lot of bad.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head with Igor Shesterkin. I mean, there's nothing else the guy could have done this series. He played phenomenal. I mean, after a kind of a disappointing regular season, ended off pretty strong, but in the middle there had a really rough stretch. Really stepped up in the playoffs when it matters. I mean, this guy played like the best goalie in the world in the playoffs, and there was no one close to him that played as well as he did in the playoffs. Guys like you said, Mikola and Schneider, best defensive pair. I agree with that. I think they were, when they were on, there were no problems. They weren't getting the Devils weren't getting any takeaways, and they looked very smooth. I mean, they're not going to add anything offensively, those guys, but that's not their role. And they played a very structurally sound defensive game. All the games, I don't think they were a problem. You're right. I don't think they made one bad play the whole series. As for Adam Fox, very surprised with him. I mean, he's a guy that you're expecting greatness from every game. I know that everyone has an off game now and then, but he had a couple off games in this series. He did not look like himself. Maybe he was hurt. I don't want to use that as an excuse because I don't know that for a fact, but it didn't look like he was 100% there. It looked like he was very hesitant, gave the puck away. I remember on the first goal, the Devils' goal, the shorthanded goal. You got to clear the puck there, man. And he's
made
holding
multiple
the puck.
turnovers in one play. Yeah.
Multiple turnovers in one play, and that results in the first goal for the Devils in Game 7. I mean, he looked horrible. That was not Adam Fox that I saw out there in Game 7. It just wasn't. And I mean, if Adam Fox is not playing like he does, the Rangers, they're going to be in big trouble. As he's a big offensive contributor, he didn't contribute anything this series offensively. And when he's not contributing defensively, they're going to be in trouble, and that's what happened. But yeah, you're right. I think Igor Shesterkin and Mikkola and Schneider were the bright spots this series, and not much else in that, right? The coaching was terrible, didn't make any adjustments go on. Obviously, look, I hate people's. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Do the Rangers, should they fire Gallant? But look, coaching goes along. Coaching only goes away to an extent where your stars like Panarin, Zibanejad, they didn't show up, and there's only so much Gallant could do. I know that he could prepare them differently. I know he could, make in-game adjustments, stuff like that. But when your stars are not showing up, there's only so much you could do as a coach. I mean, really, these guys are not showing up. That's maybe partially his fault how he's coaching them, but they're stars. I mean, they're not going to listen to the Gallant anyway. I mean, they're gonna do their thing, and when they're not doing their thing, there's nothing much you can really do. I don't know your thoughts on that, but Gallant, look, I would fire him only if you know you're gonna get a good replacement. I don't know who that is right now.
Yeah, I think it's a tough situation. Obviously Joel Quenneville. They said the Rangers are linked to him, but he's on currently prohibited from coaching in the
Yeah.
NHL. He has to receive like permission from the commissioner. So it's kind of no. I really have to evaluate like his Trotz Quenneville. Honestly, other than that, I don't think I would kind of agree. But I do think I think some of the quotes we're seeing from Gallant very defensive. Like and at some point you got to take some ownership. Like the team simply, I was there game 7. They just were not prepared to play when they were down. It was 0-0 after the first period. The Devils, no, except for a couple Ranger power plays, the Devils at even strength totally dominated the Rangers, but it was still 0-0. And I said, oh, this is actually good. This is a wake up call. Now, like they got away with it the first period. Now they're going to come back. They're going to make the adjustments, and then it was the same thing. They had to make at least some structure. It doesn't have to be necessarily, tell this player to do X and he's not going to listen. But like some line change adjustments, like we talked about this, the line of Trouba and Miller was really terrible. That was terrible all series. Like we talked about, Trouba was not good all series. It looked like he was like having spasms with the puck. It was really
Terrible.
bad. He had that hit at the end, which was somewhat redeeming. And Miller also really disappointing series for him as well. But why no adjustments? Even Fox was struggling. Why not like try out Fox and Miller, and then Trouba and Lindgren? Why not? I mean, nothing else was clicking. I think it comes down to the decisions that maybe don't the mental. Maybe Panarin's not going to listen to Gallant, but even just a line change, that's something you can do.
I did, yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think they could have tweaked the line changes, especially on the defensive side. I don't think they've ever tweaked the defensive line in season. Usually it's always the forwards or lines are in the blender, but it seems like they never changed defensively, which is kind of weird. But look, Gallant, now I'm starting to think about, I was starting to change my tune on if they should fire him, because it's been an organizational disaster what they've done with their young players. I mean, I know it's not just Gallant. David Quinn is guilty of this as well. Kako. You have him second overall. You have Alexi Lafreniere first overall, and those guys look like they can't even crack the second line. Looks like they're not even second line players. And these guys are supposed to be marquee players, at least guys that are contributing, at least 20 goals a year. They're not even close to that right now. Like, it's just so disappointing. That's going to hurt the Rangers right now, because they are in a position where their core players. Look, people could ask, oh, they need change. They got out of the first round. They need a lot of change. I don't think you're going to see a lot of changes offseason, because they're locked into a lot of these players. Mika Zibanejad is not going anywhere. Artemi Panarin, you look to trade him because his cap hit, but he has a no move clause. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Yeah. So I think they're going to be stuck with him. Guys like Keandre Miller and Lafreniere, that they're restricted free agents. Do you consider not letting them go to another team? I don't know. Like that's a good question to have. Like Lafreniere, how much is he really going to go for? Like $1-2 million? Like maybe you sign him because he's cheap like that. But Keandre Miller, I don't know. Like maybe there's a better replacement out there, because he really disappointed me in the second half of the season. But the Rangers, look, they have changes. There's changes to be done, but don't expect a lot. And they're locked into this core, and their failure to develop these young players are really going to hurt them in the long run, because they were expected to. These players were expected to. Did they accelerate their rebuild, and maybe they rebuilt too quick, as crazy as that sounds?
Yeah, it was really criminal, especially in 2019, 2020. These were teams that, and obviously both those years, they made the play-in 2019. 2020 season. In 2020, 2021, didn't make the playoffs at all. What did you have to lose? Why were Lafreniere, I know Quinn was the coach at this time, why were Lafreniere and Kako on the third line? They weren't making the postseason. That's an opportune time, still part of the rebuild, where these crucial young players had to develop. I have people come up to me, even this series, and I've had multiple people say, Nico Hischier, I don't even know how to say it.
Nico Hischier?
Hischier. Yeah, and he's on the Devils, number 1 overall pick, and I have people saying he's a bust. He's like an 80-point-per-game player. He's not he's a very good player, but the standards are so high for a number 1 overall pick. Like you have 100-point players. The fact that 80-point player, point-per-game player is a bust, and then we have Lafreniere, who's
we would pray for times like that.
Yeah, I would take 50 points. Lafreniere had like 25 points this year, and then Kako too. What are the odds that these generational talents are averaging 25 points per year? And to me, it's simply these were consensus number 1 overall picks. It comes down to coaching and the management structure of the New York Rangers, especially for the youth.
100%. I mean, these guys are being used as dump chase type guys, like fourth line grinders. Get a couple hits in the game, and you're playing 12 minutes a game. They were not trained to be second line, first line players with big minutes. They were never trained to be that way. Maybe they were in those situations 2 or 3 games, and then Gallant sent it back down to the third and fourth line. These guys were never put in a position to succeed, and that really disappoints me. As you said, Capo Caco and Lafreniere, what are the odds that they're both busts? I think I'm comfortable putting a label on them. I think the players, two players, obviously had talent to be considered to be picked so highly.
And they still have talent. We see
and they still have talent. They're still very young. But what are the odds of that? And in my opinion, it's impossible that two of them were busts. I think it's just, you're right. It's the structure of the organization, how they develop these young players. Maybe they should have started, 2 of them in the minors. Maybe they were rushed to the National Hockey League. I don't know. Maybe that's another, discussion for another day. But these guys are not trained right. I don't know what it is. And I think that, I don't know, like, is it fixable at this point? Caco's been in the league he's played 4 years now, Capo Caco. Lafreniere's played 3 years now. I know they're still young guys, 22, 23, but it has gotten to a point where it's unfixable what they have become as players. I don't know. Maybe their confidence is shot. It's going to be hard because I think the Rangers have a lot to answer for mishandling these young guys. They really do.
And it starts next year, and I hear people saying, oh, maybe Othman's going to maybe he's going to crack the team and play the fourth line. That's exactly the problem.
Yep.
If this guy's going to make the team, well, first of all, you're not going to be able to re-sign both Kane and Tarasenko. So that opens up a slot in the right winger. You have to slot in Othman there if he's going to make the team. First, second line minutes, and then he can, continuation, some fluidity from the play, really good play that he's had, whatever, in the OHL, AHL, and then have it continue into the NHL. For people saying, oh, maybe he's going to crack the roster, help out on the fourth line, that's exactly the organizational problem. And so, honestly, there needs to be instant change. And if you don't believe us on Caco and Lafreniere, we can talk about Elias Anderson. We can talk about Nils Lundqvist. We can even talk about Hedl, who's a first-round pick, who's stuck at a third.
Has a great talent, too. He's also a guy with a lot of talent. And he's now, his ceiling is, you're right, a third line, maybe 20 goals. Yeah, that's a ceiling now. And it's such a shame because you're right. If Othman starts in the league next year, he cannot be a fourth line, and they're going to trade him to be a grinder, and then his whole career is going to be ruined.
Or Kravtsov, too. I forgot Kravtsov. That's a huge one.
Oh, Kravtsov. I mean, I think he had problems with Chris Drury, but you're right. They put him on the fourth line. They never gave the guy a chance. He played a couple bad games, and they sent him back down a couple times and brought him back up when guys were injured. He was never put in the position to succeed. Like, it's just so he was not treated as the first overall pick in the organization. Those guys are supposed to be given a little priority, and they never gave those guys those opportunities. It's just so unfortunate. It makes me really angry because look, if Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere, if one of those guys turned into a superstar, one of them, they would be in great shape right now in the New York Rangers. But none of them turned into anything. And I like Capo Caco as a player. I like the talent of Alexis Lafreniere. I don't like him as a player right now because Rangers did to him, but I like the talent. You can even see the talent of Alexis Lafreniere. Some of the goals he scores, like between the legs, the backhand. I think he has a nice back. I don't think his shot is that great, but he's a playmaker, and he's never got an opportunity because he plays with terrible players. Yeah, he plays with horrible players. The kid line was good at points, but he's played with fourth line players for the majority of his career, and that's just.
And the kid line was always the third line. They never got second, first line minutes.
They got 12 minutes a game.
Yeah, that was inhibiting within itself. And then also we just have to mention, because we haven't talked about it, Panarin had 2 points in the series. He had both of his points game 1, went scoreless games 2 through 7. Trocheck only had 1 point in the series. It was a goal, whatever, in game 4. Lafreniere 0 points. Goodrow, who they're paying $4 million, 1 goal, but he was overall okay. But
he was fine.
Overall, there's Trocheck, Panarin. Those are guys first, second line. You got really nothing from them. And Trocheck, I thought, was actually a good game 7, looking at what he did.
Yeah.
But overall in the series, there just wasn't really anything. And Panarin, especially whiffing on shots, he had plenty of opportunities, and he just didn't convert on a single one.
What is Panarin getting paid? $11 million?
Yeah.
How do you not score a goal in the postseason? I mean, it's despicable what he did in the postseason. This guy was invisible, still making those angering passes, those passes that he had so many takeaways this series. And you're watching the game, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, he just doesn't understand the playoffs. It's north-south. That's how you win games. You get pucks in the net and you crash the net. And he just thinks it's a skills competition in the playoffs. All these guys. I mean, even Mika Zibanejad was trying to make up the perfect play at all times. The goals do not have to be pretty in the postseason. They are usually never pretty in the postseason. It's the most
Exactly.
ugly goals you score in the post. That's how it works in hockey. But these guys just want to make a Sports Center top 10 every night. I mean, it's so maddening what Panarin did these playoffs. I mean, this guy, you have to consider moving him. I think you have to do everything that it takes because this guy is hindering. Even like I said with the changes, if they can move Panarin, they can make some changes. They can re-sign Tarasenko, maybe trade for maybe trade for a center. But if Panarin doesn't move because there's no move clause, they have limited moves to do because of his cap hit and how bad that contract's going to be on the back end. Because look, he's a good regular season performer, but when the brights are light, when the lights are bright,
Yeah.
he is horrible.
And no, we talked a lot about individual players, and I think we've kind of sufficiently covered it. But overall, the Rangers' problem, I think I agree with you. It's a lot of east west, a lot of perimeter work. I think there was no forced entry. Everything was like try to get the puck deep, but not actually forecheck. It was a very strange. There was never anything like there was never a commitment to either dump and chase or forced entry with the player. Like they have guys. Hedel and Zibanejad are very good at just getting the puck in the zone. And it just seemed like they couldn't get the puck in the zone. The Devils always had the puck 5-on-5. And it was just very frustrating to watch. And that's where like the adjustments come into play. Hey, we're going to shift. We're going to be actually follow through, dump and chase, get the puck deep, and we're trying to get the possession of the puck. And there was just never a commitment to any sort of strategy for checking or in the offensive zone. It was very frustrating to watch.
Yeah, just horrible. Matthew, when I think about it, we have to wait another full calendar year to watch the Rangers in the playoffs. It just makes me. It's just like
I don't even want to talk about that.
You get hockey back in 3.5 months, but oh my God, 12 months, such a long time. It's just that's what's so disappointing about when your team loses the playoffs. It's so long you have to wait. It's just like it seems like it just begun the postseason. Now they're out. I don't even want to watch hockey anymore. I'm disgusted by the thought of watching hockey right now. I'm just not interested at all. Nope. Like maybe I'll watch the conference finals, but right now I just have to take a week break at least. Week hiatus because I am so
vacation.
I'm just very, very disgusted. I can't watch the sport right now.
Let's move on to some good news then.
So let's to the Knicks with a big win last night. Big win last night. I mean, it looked like in the third quarter, there was a chance they were going to lose without Jimmy Butler. That was a chance to capitalize, tie the series, 1-1 going into Miami, and they did just that. Brunson dropped 30 points. Josh Hart almost a triple-double, 1 assist short, I believe. Great game. Julius Randle stepped up. At the end, he was a little iffy, but he has stepped up playing with an ankle injury. So
can't fault him.
Can't fault him. Played what he could, and woke up a little there. But the Knicks 1-1 going into the Heat. I think it's gonna be a very long series, Matt. I think we're gonna go 6 or 7 games, at least. I think that the Knicks have a good shot here, but it all depends on when Jimmy Butler is gonna return. Because if he's not playing in Game 3, I think they could take Game 3. And I don't know. Look, the Heat it's weird because they have a lot of pesky players that you don't expect to do well. Like when Jimmy Butler's out, I think they play a different game. They're more like try to go to the hoop, try to get fouls. But when Jimmy Butler's in there, they try to focus more. I feel like they play a different game when he's out. And maybe that might, I don't know, when Jimmy Butler's out, maybe it's worse for the Knicks. I don't know. Like I saw some people discussing that. Maybe I kind of agree with that in the ways. I don't know. But obviously with him out, like you have to capitalize on the opportunity to win. But looks like the Heat are a way different team when he's out, when he's not playing. It just
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's the Heat are a team I've noticed that I didn't even know this really, but I've noticed in the first couple games they take so many threes. They took 49 game 2. They take a lot of threes, and it's a lot of focus on their starting lineup, even inserting guys like Kevin Love. That's why they got him. Kevin Love is not really a 3-point shooter, but they're using him like he took 9 shots, 8 of them were threes yesterday. So I think the Knicks have to close out the perimeter, let them attack the hoop a little more. I think that's something that given their starters and the way they're kind of built, maybe that's something they're not as comfortable doing with guys like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Those are 3-point shooters. Even Caleb Martin. You make them drive a little bit, you make them a little uncomfortable. And then somebody I've been very impressed with, and I know we were kind of dogging him a little bit, but somebody's been very, very impressive. RJ Barrett really stepped up. Had the terrible game 1 and 2 in Cleveland away. Since then, came back to New York, has had some really, really nice games, really good performances, over 20 points a night basically. And have to give some credit. Stepped up, we were calling this guy's kind of useless. He's maybe not on the team next year, but he's really stepped up.
He stepped up. I mean, this says a lot about RJ Barrett as a player because he's got. You're right, as you said, There are people questioning, should he be on the team next year? Should they get rid of him? This guy's a liability, but he really has turned into a dominant postseason player. I mean, he's playing to his strengths right now. He is not a 3-point shooter. He's a guy that has a good mid-range jump shot, and he has to drive to the lane because he draws a lot of fouls. He's very skilled at that. But when he starts shooting threes, taking too many shots from outside the 3-point line, he turns into a different player. I think he's recognized his strengths. I think maybe Tom Thibodeau, maybe someone in his ear told him that. I don't know what it was, but something changed in Game 3 of that Cleveland series. Something changed. He played the game differently, and ever since then, lights out. This guy has played. I don't think he's had one bad game since Game 2 of the Cleveland series. So credit to him. RJ Barrett is the reason why the Knicks are still in the position where they are right now. He's really,
definitely.
I mean, if he didn't step up, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think they would still be in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, even in Game 2, he was 5 for 9 from 3-pointers. But I noticed that the Heat, I think part of the Heat scouting report was like, kind of give him some space from 3, let him shoot the 3. And I think that's where you kind of draw a line. If you're very open, they're letting you take those threes, you take those threes. He's 31, 32, 33%. He can make those open threes, and I think that's good. But when he's taking those contested threes, those forced threes, like end of shot clock threes, that's not his game. His game, we've kind of seen it now. Maybe it's the open threes. He's had a lot of nice mid-range shots, and then he's a solid finisher. Yeah, he draws some fouls, and then also even like some floaters. We've seen some nice floaters from him. So recognizing his game, I thought, and he's been, that was a comment earlier in the year too. Like his defensive, is he okay on the defensive side of the ball? Yeah. And from what I've seen, I know that Hart's drawing the harder assignments, but Barrett, I see Barrett sometimes switched on to Butler Game 1, or he switched on to Donovan Mitchell at times. He looked serviceable. I can't really, he looked okay out there.
Yeah, I think he's been phenomenal. I also got to give credit to Hartenstein, the center. He's a baller, this guy. I mean, this guy lays out for every rebound. This guy is a guy that you want on your team in the playoffs. Very pesky, a guy that you don't expect to get a
good
rebound, to be honest.
Really good backup.
Very good backup center. And now he's playing starting minutes. Like he's playing in the fourth quarter in these key situations. I mean, I kind of love what Mitchell. I think they should get Mitchell Robinson a little more out there. I think he gets in foul trouble a little too much, but I think that both of the centers have been pretty great. I think that
they said Mitchell Robinson is dealing with a hip injury or something. He's really battling through. Okay. He's sitting out. But overall, I thought in Game 1, I think he played 39 minutes, Mitchell Robinson. Game 2, only 21 minutes. But after Game 1, he said he was very banged up. So, Game 2, the layoff between Game 2 and Game 3, it's like a 4-day rest.
Yeah,
Game 3 on Saturday.
So I'm so confused.
It's really puzzling. But, if you're going to do something where you want to give Mitchell Robinson only 21 minutes yesterday, give him some time off before Saturday, I'm totally in favor of that. That's okay.
So, the layoff, are they, taking a bike? Is the team, taking a bike to Cleveland? Why is it travel day? Why do you have, 4 days off? No, 3 days off. Why do you have 3 days off? Why? I just don't get it at all. Yeah. I don't know. Is it bad for the Knicks? Do they have momentum? I don't think it's going to matter.
I don't really care. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care too much. Whatever. I guess it's good for the Knicks because, as you said, Robinson's dealing with the injury. Randall gives him more time to rest that ankle. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be beneficial for the Knicks. And also Jimmy Butler I think he might be back Game 3 because of the layoff. So
I would bank on him being back for Game 3.
I think it's beneficial for both teams to do this layoff. I guess right now we'll move on to Aaron Rodgers. His first week as a Jet, he got traded. Of course, he gets traded the day after we record. So we're reacting a week late. But look, whatever, better late than never, I guess, right? The Jets finally have their quarterback. I mean, they traded him it was a pick swap, 15 and 13. Jets also gave up the 1 second round this year. And I think it was a 5. I think the Jets got a 5, Packers got a 6 this year. And the Jets also gave up a conditional second round pick if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps this year. So it looks like that's going to be a first round pick unless he gets hurt and out for the season. But it looks like the Jets gave up a first next year. So maybe more than what was expected, but I don't think it's something to go crazy about because it seems like after the press conference, after his Pat McAfee appearance yesterday, it looks like he's going to be in New York for this foreseeable future. I don't know if that's 2 years. I don't know if that's 3 years, but definitely looks like it's going to be more than a one and done with the Jets. So you're not going to really worry about that first round pick too much.
Yeah, it was a little more than I expected. The cost, it's kind of the cost of winning. The Jets, when we talk, how many times do we have to say it? We're basically a broken record at this point.
Yeah.
The Jets basically never, you want to go back to Super Bowl 3, whatever. Basically, since then, they've never had a good quarterback. They're going to get one now. They're going to get whatever Pro Bowl. And it's a guaranteed for me that he's going to be Pro Bowl caliber starting quarterback, top 10 for definitely 1 year. I'd say the way that he's been talking, like 75%, 2 years.
Yeah,
And
I think it's fair.
no, I think that's fine. Whatever the package, it's just whatever. I think this guy kind of puts the Jets over the hump. That was the weakest, positional thing for the Jets quarterback. Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. That's the biggest
It's
jump
the, it's
anything
the
in
biggest quarterback upgrade of all time in a team I think we've ever
and
seen.
then, as we'll see, we'll talk about, we see a lot of, ex Packers coming over, and we see overall, I think the roster is kind of forming. Even like some guys, we'll talk about whatever the Randall Cobbs, like guys can actually have an impact. Even like the backup quarterbacks, like Tim Boyle, he was on the Packers for a couple of years.
Boyle.
But no, but
Yes,
just
sir.
he's just bringing a lot of his guys over, which is
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Which is fine. And people freaking out about Randall Cobb just signed with the Jets this morning. People freaking out about that, like, oh, the Jets are becoming the New York Packers. Like, shut your mouth, dude. They just want to find a reason to hate on the Jets. Randall Cobb is a Braxton Berrios replacement, and he was better than Braxton Berrios last year. He is a fine backup slot receiver. He's a wide receiver 5. Why are the people freaking out about this? Why are they making it seem as if he's going to take away snaps from Garrett Wilson? That's not going to happen. This guy's barely going to play. He's going to get 2, maybe 1, maybe at most 2 targets a game. So what does that matter? If he's going to teach these young wide receivers how to play with Aaron Rodgers, he's done it for years, Randall Cobb. If he's going to teach them how to play with Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to make Aaron Rodgers more happy in New York, so be it. I'm fine with the move, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it as a Braxton Berrios replacement. I don't mind this move at all.
I'm wondering, Garrett Wilson guaranteed to get snaps. Corey Davis, Mecole Hardman, I guess. No, Alan Lazard guaranteed to get snaps. Corey Davis, I guess they're going to split. Then Randall Cobb falls in. The only guy Randall Cobb really slots in front of here for sure
is Mims.
Probably Denzel Mims. And no, what do you want? And this guy was a second-round pick. He's a bust. He's not been good in his time.
He's a bust,
yeah. But in 3 years, he has no more than 357 yards, had 186 last year. But no, are you really upset about this guy taking away from Denzel Mims? Honestly, Jets fans should not care. This guy's just kind of going to be presence for the locker room. He's a veteran, and he'll get occasional snaps in specific scenarios.
I think it's fine. Like, I think the Jets wide receiver room is actually like pretty deep. I think if, obviously, look, Garrett Wilson's the mainstay there. If he stays healthy, they're going to be really good. But I think the wide receiver room as deep as it's ever been. I think, look, the Jets replace Elijah Moore. They replace Jeff Smith and Braxton Berrios, and they got Lazard, Mecole Hardman, and Randall Cobb. I think those all could be arguably all upgrades for the Jets. So I think they did a pretty good job upgrading the wide receiver department this year. I don't think they had to do that much because Garrett Wilson has emerged as a superstar. But look, if Garrett Wilson is going to go off this year, I think Aaron Rodgers actually compared him to Devontae Adams, which is high praise for a guy. I mean, as you just practiced for 2 days now, but comparing to him with that, I think you're going to see Garrett Wilson get 1,500 yards. I think you're going to see all pro season. Yeah, I think I might. I mean, look, I'm very excited for what Aaron Rodgers can bring so much for this offense. I mean, guys like Corey Davis, even if he stays healthy, he's going to have a great year. I think Mecole Hardman's going to be big for them in the deep game because they actually have a quarterback that can throw a deep ball accurately. Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson's making Aaron Rodgers' life hell in practice, right? That's all he's doing now.
I saw that.
It's just so funny.
Yeah. No, I'm not a Jets fan, but I can appreciate he's showing up to a lot of Ranger games, a lot of Knicks games, so can appreciate that. So too, he's trying to get involved. What I said, it was the honeymoon phase for now. They go 7-10 next year. He won't be at these games.
But, you're right.
You love to see he's getting some nice reactions, standing ovations. So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. He's a guy that I think a lot of people. I think he looks way happier right now. I think that he was in a situation in Green Bay. He didn't attend the OTAs there. Obviously, people criticize him for that. But I also listened to him. He was training in California. It wasn't like he wasn't working on his game. Obviously, you can argue, you wanted to build relationships with those young receivers they had in Green Bay, which is important, I guess. It's warranted criticism for him. But it wasn't like he wasn't working on his game. I think this year he found it important to attend OTAs to get to know his new teammates, stuff like that. And I think he looks way happier. And I think that's why I think he's going to play 2 or 3 years. Unless the Jets win a Super Bowl this year, I think he might retire after that, which I really wouldn't care. If they win a Super Bowl, he could retire. And I don't. This guy will be king of New York forever. So I don't care if he plays 1 year in that aspect. But I think if they don't win, I think 2 or 3 years. I really am promising. But who knows with this guy? He could change his opinion at any point. But I think we'll end our discussion on Aaron Rodgers here because we've been talking about him for 3 months now. But after hearing his interview, I don't know if you saw it on the Mike K show.
Yeah.
It seems like he's very misunderstood. He seems like a very genuine guy. I don't know what it is. People just like to criticize him because of the vaccine stance. I don't want to go into politics now, but I think ever since he had that vaccine comment about I'm immunized, people got upset with that, the backlash with that. It seems like he's been just painted as a villain in the public eye, and the media just ran with it out of no evidence. I think look, there's been scenarios where teammates have been upset with him. I think that's overblown. I don't know. I just think that this guy is very misunderstood. I think he seems just like a cool guy from California who's maybe a little weird. He's into crystals. He's into some vitamins here and there. But
Yeah.
look, he's just a misunderstood guy. I think that he's just a guy that I think he's perfect for New York. I think I think he understands that winning in New York would be huge. I really believe, and it's very refreshing to see nowadays because athletes don't appreciate New York as much as they did back then, I think. And I think he understands the important part of winning in New York. And I think he understands that fans expect winning here, which obviously as Jets fans we are now with the expectations of Rosen. And I think he's going to embrace that. So I really love everything I'm hearing from him. And you said it's a honeymoon phase. I think if he loses, it's going to change. But I love what I'm. First week is a Jet A+ for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well said. Let's move on to we'll do the Giants and the Jets draft recap. So I guess I'll just read out the picks, then we'll go through them. First round, Deontay Banks, cornerback. Second round, John Michael Schmidt, center. Wide receiver, Jalen Hyatt in the third round. Running back, Eric Gray. Cornerback, Trey Hawkins. Defensive tackle, Jordan Riley. Safety, Jaravius Owens. So what I saw here, just overall, if you're not familiar with these players, which is fine. The Giants, apparently, they had one of the best draft classes. Universally, people are praising this, and they said they didn't reach for any players. No, I don't really know. Obviously, we don't know how these players are going to turn out. But overall, the praise is pretty widespread. People are just saying they did a good job. We'll break, we'll go more in depth the top 3 picks. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, draft grades I think they're very misleading.
Yeah.
I think that you won't know until another 2 or 3 years. But, yeah, the Giants did a very good job here. First-round cornerback was a big need for their defense. Got him. He's supposedly very high rated. I don't know much about him, but I've heard nothing but great things. Great pick there. Didn't reach in any aspect in the first round. Then in the second round, they go after John Michael Schmitz, who was expected to go maybe in the late first round.
I had them picking him in the first round in my mock draft.
Matthew had the Giants picking him in the late
first
round.
Hyatt, I had Hyatt in the second round. You like that?
Well, I mean, Matthew should be joining the Giants front office there, but yeah, I think the Giants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I actually like John Michael Schmidt going to the Jets for my sake. I think he's a very talented center. Giants did very well. They traded up I think they traded up a pick for Hyatt, right, to get him. Very aggressive. You love the aggressive nature you're seeing from Shane to improve the team. I think Hyatt was a home run in the third round. I really love what the Giants did.
The top 3 players, Banks, Schmidt, Hyatt, those were 3 players that were potentially, Hyatt less so, potentially projected to go to the Giants in the first round. So, to get them in rounds 1, 2, and 3, yes, they traded up 1 slot to move to Deontay Banks in the first round. They traded up 10 spots for Hyatt in the third round. But, if you're afraid that team's going to jump you for this guy, honestly, you have to be aggressive. You think that the difference between, giving up a fifth round pick and then pick swapping is, this guy is much better. It's a totally different tier. You have to do it. You can't show any trepidation. That we've seen it from I've seen it from the Giants in the past, so I know firsthand what that kind of looks like. But I'm happy they were aggressive. No, it's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're right. You never know what a team's gonna do, but if you really love a player and you think there's a chance that he goes the pick before you, you do it because you're gonna. And if the guy becomes great, you're gonna be thinking about dwelling on it for 10 years if you're the GM. So you obviously have to do that. A 5th round pick, you're not gonna lose sleep over. There's rarely any good 5th round picks. But yeah, you're right. I love what the Giants did this draft. I would give it an 8. I would give it a name. Yeah, I hate to give draft grades, but if I had,
I'm not gonna give a draft grade. Yeah,
I'll give it a flat A. I think they did a great job, addressed all their needs. Got a starting franchise center, got a franchise cornerback, hopefully. Then the wide receiver Hyatt. I think that he'll probably start for the Giants, right? Because they don't have much wide receiver depth, so might as well start him. Get him involved early in the NFL. Get him
those guys are going to get a lot of time. They're back 3 picks. The defensive side, Trey Hawkins, Jordan Riley, those are all depth guys. Those guys aren't going to start. But the other interesting one is Eric Gray. He's going to be the backup running back. He's from Oklahoma. I looked at his stats. He had 1,500 yards. He looked like he had a good season at Oklahoma. But he's going to back up Barkley. But that's only important to note No, if this guy were to have a good year this year, no, Saquon Barkley is only on a 1 year deal. No, Saquon, he hasn't even signed the franchise tag, so we might have this guy starting for a little bit, and like there's like a holdout, or at least in spring training. So that's the only other interesting one, but the other ones are just that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Saquon Barkley. That's another. I don't know what he's doing. I heard rumors before that he was going to, 10 OTAs, that he was fine with it. He was not the type of guy to hold out, but I guess that his agent
Well,
convinced him
that's like the
otherwise, right?
agent kind of. There's
It's
the
the
agent.
agent. It's the
Yeah,
agent talk. It's not really him. It's the agent saying, "Oh, you can get a lot of money. Don't risk injury. Whatever. Blah blah blah." He's probably.
he
I think.
also declined the $12.5 million average contract for 4 or 5 years. No,
Yeah,
so
the agent did poorly there.
yeah, they really did poorly there. Really.
Horrible, horrible.
Yeah.
I think he, yeah, lost big time with that contract. Lost, should
Yep,
have took
definitely.
that 100%. But move on to the Jets draft
Yeah.
recap. Matthew, do you have the picks for the Jets? I
Yeah,
know
I
that
have the
they,
picks. We
yeah.
have
So
outside linebacker Will McDonald, center
edge
Joe
rusher, yeah,
Titman, edge rusher, yeah, okay. Carter Warren, offensive tackle, Israel Abanikanda, running back,
tough one there.
Zaire Barnes, outside linebacker, Jarek Bernard, Converse, cornerback, and Zach Kuntz, tight end.
Let's talk about Jarek Bernard Converse. That's the draft name of the year right there. What a name! Holy moly! But yeah, going to Will McDonald first in the first round. I see the
I didn't
Jets
love
really
this, to
wanted
be
an offense.
honest.
Jets really wanted an offensive tackle. Patriots trade down. Steelers come up. They take the last first round tackle in Broderick Jones. And there was no offensive tackles on the board. Like, you're not going to reach for a guy that would be taken in the second round with your 15th overall pick. So the Jets took Will McDonald, who was rated pretty high, mid. He was projected to go mid first round, maybe late, but the Jets loved him. He's a very athletic guy, a little lean. I think he has to gain a little muscle as an edge rusher in the NFL. So you got to gain a little muscle to, get past the defensive players. But the offensive lineman, but in the NFL, it's a different. It's different. I think that, look, I like the pick. Don't love it. I think at the time I was shocked. I mean, let's talk about this first. The kid that announced the Jets pick, good for him, man. He was a lot. I don't know if you saw him,
Yeah,
Matthew. He
yeah,
was
yeah.
the
I
Make a
did. I
Wish kid.
did.
That was an awesome moment.
Yeah,
The announcement of the pick was great. Once he said the name, I was in shock. I was like, who is this? I didn't do that
yeah,
much research this draft, but I knew, the main players, and was not expecting the Jets to go this route. But it's not bad. Look, the Jets, I think their defensive line is really set now. They have two edge rushers. I think they have three, really. They have Lawson, now McDonald, and Bryce Huff. That rounds it out. You don't really love taking a rotational guy with the 15th pick in the draft. That's what the Jets did. I think that they did it because all their offense cycles went in. It was kind of a panic pick somewhat, but it's not really a horrible pick.
yeah,
I think he's a very good player with potential to
yeah.
be an 8 to 10 sack guy.
I have there are two different sides here. I think I always like when teams, if there's no like desperate positional need, if they pick best available. So if they thought this guy was best available, I really can't fault the Jets, because I like when
Yeah,
teams do that. I think it ends up working well in the team's favor. At the same time, this is like one of the few positions on the Jets where it's like, they do have some guys. They do have some guys, starter caliber guys. They've already committed money to, guys that are sticking around, like for and also just overall, like on the defensive line, obviously some studs. So we talk about whatever, Quinn and Williams, but and then also there was that kind of need for me. Obviously the tackle, they're declining. That was news yesterday. Mekhi Becton's fifth-year option, and so
yeah,
the
not
offensive line,
surprising.
they did address it with Joe Titman. They addressed offense, but there were some needs, and I can't really fault if they thought this was best available. I no, it's hard. It's a tricky situation.
Well, now with not drafting an offensive tackle, you're going to have to rely on Mekhi Becton being healthy, or Font stepping. Oh no, and it's not Font. It's
Dwayne Brown is still in there, right?
Brown. Dwayne Brown is a tackle,
Yeah.
but Mekhi Becton. It's going to be a competition with Becton and Brown. Becton looks very good. He's posted every day on Twitter of him working out. Looks like he said he lost about 40 pounds, which is huge. I mean, if
Oh,
that's true,
good,
that's
good.
huge for the Jets. But he hasn't played in the NFL for 2 years. I mean, he could be rusty, but look, we all know what the talent he has, but the fact that he hasn't played in 2 years, it's something that you can't rely on. I
Alarming.
mean, look, it'll be a
Yeah.
luxury if he's great for the team, but you can't rely on him. And the Jets not
Yeah.
getting a tackle, it does hurt them a little bit. It was a need, as you said, but they had to go with McDonald. We'll move on to the next pick, Titman, as you just mentioned, center. Jets needed a center. It was their main positional need outside of tackle. They take
Right.
Titman, probably either him or the guy the Giants picked, John Michael Schmitz, was the 1 and 2 center of the draft, and the Jets get a franchise center here for the next
Yeah.
10 years, hopefully, with this pick.
Yeah, I agree. Similar players. I think this is the best pick for the Jets in their draft.
Mhm.
The Giants, yeah, very similar players, both projected to go in similar areas. Kind of like the clear 1 and 2. Then there's a big drop off after that. A positional need, instant starter, and for second round pick, you're still getting a starter. So I mean, that's fine. Mhm.
Yeah, and then we'll go value one more pick, Carter Warren, offensive tackle. I think that's pretty good. This guy could. I think that this guy's obviously not going to be a starter in the first year, but maybe in the future he become a starter with the positional need. I don't know. Like maybe you have Brown play this year and then he becomes a starter next year. Who knows? Solid pick with the position. Don't know much about the player. Obviously, not gonna sit here and lie about what I think about as a player because I don't know him, but. I like the position. I like the position chosen with this pick.
Yeah, and this was I mean, we could talk about this, but this was an important position for the Jets. Dwayne Brown, 1 more year on a contract, likely to retire anyway. It's not like he's going to resign. Makai back to the free agent after the year. So after that, those like the two starters. There's just no depth after that. So at least this guy, maybe he's going to sit behind and watch those two guys start. But then next year, I kind of imagine that he might be thrust into a starting position. So this is kind of eyes on the future.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at these other picks too. Everything else looks like it's going to be depth. And then I know you have an interesting note on Zach Kuntz. So what do you? What's the
very
scouting
big, very very huge guy. So I think he's like 6'7", 6'8" tight end.
6'8", yep.
Maybe this guy becomes something in the NFL. Like who knows? Maybe
if he's athletic. I mean, I can't imagine. Like
if
this
he's
guy's
athletic,
like moving.
He is athletic. Do you ever see those scores on Twitter that like I don't know what platform does it, but they give like a grade out of 10. This guy got a 10 out of 10 in the athletic department. Like he's like he's a freak. This guy. So you never know. Maybe in a couple of years, obviously blocking tight end, he's probably very good in that aspect. But a couple of years, maybe this year or next year becomes a target for Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? I kind of like it because they need some tight end depth. I know that they have a couple guys, but guys like Uzama, guys like Conklin are not going to stick around for that much longer. So I like this as a pick for the future, 2 or 3 years down the line. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that kind of wraps it up for the Jets draft.
Yeah, we'll also mention the Jets signed Al Woods today.
Oh,
We'll mention the Al Woods signing. Great run stopper. He's 36. The age is high up there, but great run stopper. Big positional need for the Jets. They needed another run stopper in addition to Quinn Williams. Love the signing there. I don't know what your thoughts on it, but I love the signing. I think the Jets fill the need here.
I'm always in favor of like you need one. There's obviously like you have that defense. You need defensive tackle, and it's not Quinnen Williams. Like people say, you just stick Quinnen Williams on. No, he's like a pass rusher. You need this guy. Just run. This guy doesn't get sacks. That's not his job. In his career across 155 games, he has 9 total sacks. This guy's just not going to get any sacks.
Yeah, he's a run
stopper. Yeah, and that's it. And that's his game. He's just a big guy who takes up space. So you need one of those guys, and he's good at what he does. So there you go.
I really like it, yeah. Now we'll move on to a depressing topic. The New York Yankees, they won today with a walk-off hit by Jose Trevino, but they've been flat-out horrible pitching. Carlos Rodon hasn't even started his rehab. He got paused again because of the barking back. Just like they have Willie Calhoun batting 5th, but he stepped up today, but he's like Brian Cashman spoke today. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna get people back. We're gonna be fine. Just we're championship caliber run operation." This guy just makes me want to vomit every time he speaks.
Yeah, we did an episode in the preseason where all these injuries were popping up too, and we said, and we remember looking at these timelines. They said Harrison Bader. They're actually close. They said Harrison Bader would be back exactly April 20th. He's back May 2nd. They said. Tommy Kahnle would maybe not miss opening day.
Where has he been?
He's on like the 60-day IL. Nobody knows where this guy is. Also,
he's just celebrating the walk-offs. I just see him celebrating walk-offs. Is that his role now?
Then we have Lou Trevino as well, and they said this guy's only going to miss like the minimum stint 10 days on the IL, and we saw that immediately. We saw elbow strain. Like we both said this guy is getting Tommy John. This guy is getting.
How can the doctors not see that?
Now here we are. Yesterday, I get the news. This guy's getting Tommy John. What we saw these timelines. Like, are these people like crazy? They said Rodon would only miss 1 start. Severino would miss 2 starts. No, Rodon can't get past the bullpen. Severino just started his rehab assignment. Who knows when he's going to be back? And No, we also have Loizaga, who's like has surgery. They said best case scenario, he's back in September. He's not going to be back this year.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
And they said Montas. I don't even know where Montas is.
Starting a throwing program. Starting a throwing
program.
I don't
Okay,
know
so
what that means.
maybe you have him back by
So maybe December.
August.
Have him back in the Dominican League. Maybe December.
What's their timeline? Is it like they'll have him back in 3 weeks? What's their timeline? You got to take that timeline and then subtract 3 months. Honestly, that's the timeline.
Yeah, it's such a joke where Rhodes on. Like they said, he cannot. Like his back is not.
Can't get over the hump.
Other when he throws, it's bothering me. He can't locate pitches. Is this guy going to be out for the rest of his career now? Is this going to hinder him? Like, how are you going to fix this? You don't find a problem in the MRI. You don't find a problem on the CAT scan. Then what is it? What is it? Like, what is it? Is this guy never going to pitch again? Like, what the hell is it? Do they know?
Is this guy? I thought this came across my mind too. Is this guy making up this injury so he never has to pitch again? Like, it's just this is such an obscure injury. This guy, they've taken him to like another rounds of testing, and then he throws the bullpen, and then Boone says, "Oh yeah, he looked good in the bullpen. Like his velocity was normal, as where it needed to be through fastballs, sliders." And he comes back next day, his back stiff, but like nobody can actually confirm it. Is this guy making it up? Like, it's really frustrating.
I don't know.
It's really frustrating to hear, and no, God knows where Stanton is. Like, when is he going to be
Judge
back?
just got hurt.
Judge on the IL. They say minimum stint. That means there'll be minimum stint plus 5 days probably. And then we have
he'll be back. Maybe he'll be back
Bader,
early June.
Bader finally came back, so that was the one.
And I also think Bader got hurt again tonight. So here we go with another injury.
You kidding
me?
It's
unbelievable, Matthew. It's unbelievable. And I think what's that guy's name? Bader. I think he was replaced with Cabrera, and another guy got injured. Oh, Peraza is being evaluated MRI tonight for an ankle problem. So like, when does it ever end?
It's not even funny because we look at the roster and it's like Willie Calhoun and then Jake Bowers. Who's coming up next exactly? Let me look at the 40-man. Ben Rortvedt maybe.
Oh boy.
Every single person on the 40-man is on the IL. Want me to read the position players? The position players not currently on the roster: Ben Rortvedt, Josh Donaldson, Aaron Judge, Everson Perea, Franchi Cordero.
Pereira, yeah. He's not bad. He's a good prospect. But
that's what, like, there's no depth on. There's nobody else they can actually physically call up.
No.
It's really bad, honestly. And the only answer, people ask me, what's the answer? Like, what are the other choices? And honestly, like, can you make like a trade where you trade for like 5 pitchers? Because that's what they need to do. And can you make a trade you'd have to trade over like a really good prospect to get like 5 good pitchers and 5 good hitters to fix this team. It's really frustrating.
I don't even think that's not possible. I think that can this be on the table in about a month? If the team is still struggling, they're in close to last place, and it's June right now. Do you consider calling up Jason Dominguez? Like, why not? Why not let this guy develop and see major league pitching for the first time? Might as well, right? Add some excitement to the fan base who's seeing, Calhoun being trotted out, Cordero being trotted out, IKF being trotted out in left field. I mean, this is an embarrassment. I mean, the Yankees are an absolute embarrassment right now. IKF is in left field. You gotta evaluate yourself, man. I mean, Brian Cashman has to evaluate himself. Like, what are we doing?
Not only is IKF in left field, but Hicks is in center field right now. If Bader's hurt, like,
why? What? All right, yeah. Why is Aaron Hicks still on the roster? Why? There's no.
I mean,
reason.
honestly, I'm looking at it now, and I would agree with you. This guy is so bad; he has no place on the roster. But who are you going to call up? Exactly. That's my question.
That's a fair point.
Everson Perea. That's who can call up.
It all goes back to the GM building the roster.
It's an organizational. Horrible. I'm looking at some of the decisions, and I know Boone's under some scrutiny too. And I think the only thing where you can possibly fault him is he's continuing to trot out Holmes as the closer. But otherwise,
his bullpen's
Boone's been given, the lineup that he creates with what he's been given is not that bad to me. You can, whatever say.
What is their record? What are they? 16-13 now?
Yeah, like 16-14.
They're 17-15 with the lineup that they have. They're 2 games over 500. You're right.
Boone is actually
what
done
else
a
can
good
he
job.
do?
Yeah, I have to give him some credit. He's done a good job.
I don't think he's been that bad. Like, it's just Brian Cashman. I mean, this guy just got a 4-year extension. You gotta let it go. You gotta let him go soon. I mean, really, this guy is just so bad. I mean, really. Like, I've been a Brian Cashman defender, and that has ended. now for the past 2 years because he has put this team in such a bad spot. It's all started with
Terrible.
Donaldson IKF trade horrible. Re-signing Hicks horrible.
All
Severino
pitcher
re-signing
and
horrible.
trades and signings.
Just think about
Every
this.
single
Trevino, they traded for Trevino, hurt. Montas, hurt. Rodon, hurt. Who else? That other guy
Efros.
from the
Efros.
Efros, hurt. Like what? Like how has that happened? Like are these guys getting physicals? Or are they just like passing the physical when a trade happens? Like what is happening?
It's bad, and yeah, I agree. It's totally for me. It's totally on the GM. Like you can critique Willie Calhoun in the 5-hole all you want. You say, "Oh, move him down." That means the people behind him are Hicks, IKF. Like those are people that should be in single A. Like
they should not be on a major league roster, and they should be on the Oakland Athletics. It's the only team that's possible.
Yeah, it's
Matthew,
such a bad. Yeah,
we sit here right now. The Yankees are 8.5 games out of first place. I mean, that is a sizable difference. I don't think you can overtake. I think they're right now the Yankees' best hope is making the wild card. The Baltimore Orioles are 20-10. Look what they have. I mean, and look at their payroll and look at the Yankees' payroll. Tell me you don't see a problem. I mean, how has this happened?
Mm-hmm.
It's how do you not fire Brian Cashman? This guy's going to get a lifetime. He has a lifetime deal with the Yankees. He's like the Bill Belichick of the MLB. He's never going to get fired. He's going to go out on his home terms, and it ain't going to be anytime soon. This guy's going to be here.
Yeah, at least Belichick's okay. At least
he's solid.
The only bright spots we can really mention are Garrett Cole, obviously like AL pitcher of the month, really dominant.
But like,
Herman,
is that
he hasn't been great, but he's given them some length. And then like Judge hasn't been great. Rizzo's been okay, I guess. And honestly, that's kind of it. I can't even say anybody else who's been good.
Volpe's isn't stepping up a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't even care about Volpe's performance. He's a rookie. I'm giving him a pass, like whatever.
You're right. No, you're right. But yeah, I mean Garrett Cole, you give him credit, but like anyone could have seen the talent that he has. I think a GM has to be evaluated with the under the radar type moves, not the guys that he signed Garrett Cole. The whole world would have signed Garrett Cole for the Yankees. Like that's not really like, oh, good for him. He handed out a $330 million contract. Like great. Like congratulations.
Yeah, outbid 32 other teams. Yeah, wonderful. Okay.
Like, congratulations. Yeah, like anyone would have did that. They were the GM. So like the under the radar moves horrible. I mean, really bad.
And then the last thing is the bullpen's been good, and everything else has been the bullpen. They've actually found
bullpen's been very good.
Maybe that's Matt Blake. But Ian Hamilton, very good. Jimmy Cordero, even Abreu was good today.
Impressive.
The bullpen good. Starters besides Cole, not good. And hitting,
it's a joke.
Despicable.
It's a joke.
Hitting was despicable. That's what I would say.
They're trotting out, Clark Schmidt, Brito. These guys should be in the minor league. I think Clark Schmidt should be in the bullpen. Brito should be in the minor leagues. And who else? Who's their? Who am I forgetting? It's Herman, Cole, Brito,
Herman, and
Schmidt.
Cortez.
And Cortez, who's now has the strep throat.
So I don't know. Maybe he's out for a couple months. Honestly, I don't really.
He's
know.
strep throat. I say maybe postseason first start returns. Watch strep throat. I hate to joke, but watch it turn into something else more seriously. God forbid. I mean, it's but the Yankees luck. Watch it turn into something more serious. It's just unbelievable. Yep. It's so hard being a Yankees fan. It's hard to watch the games. It really is.
It is.
Like, I don't even get excited. This is
probably the least I've watched Yankee games in a couple of years. Like I used to know every night. Now I'm just like today. I didn't watch the game, but I turned it on. Bottom of the 8th. I just saw who pitched, Marinaccio pitch, and then I saw Cordero, and then I saw
Cordero.
I just saw the last 3 innings. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, how can you get excited when you have the lineup like they do? I mean, horrible. I mean, I'm so disappointed. I think the best teams that have the chance to win the World Championship right now are the Knicks, who's still in the playoffs, and the Jets. And I think the Giants are maybe third. I don't know, like. Do you see the Yankees and the Mets winning this year? The Mets have been terrible too, though. Max Scherzer, he's an absolute bum. He got shelled tonight.
I still see some like that. No, if they get honestly, like I'm not like critiquing the Mets, but I look at like that roster's okay, But
I think it'll even out a little bit, but I don't see right now. I don't see them both of them winning a championship. I just don't see it at all. But hopefully that changes because we need it. I think that. The Yankees I think Stanton won't be back for another month, at least.
Of course.
Judge, who knows what Judge? He said that the hip only hurts him when he throws. I don't know what that means. It's just it's unbelievable. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
it just stinks.
Yeah, whatever. Hopefully next episode, Matthew, we're talking about a Knicks series win because I really think they could win this series. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then things get interesting because the Celtics and the 76ers, they're great teams, but I think the Knicks, if they have a fully healthy Julius Randle, I think they can hang with them. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we'll see.
Anything can happen. Yeah, we'll leave you with that.
We need the Knicks. We need the Knicks because we have no one else. We really don't.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm hanging on to Aaron Rodgers being a Jet, and it's May, and I'm not going to see him play for 4 months. I mean, I'm more excited for a schedule release than a Yankee game right now. It's a joke. Mm-hmm. Oh, Matthew, next episode we'll have the NFL schedule. We'll make our predictions.
Yep, we'll do predictions. Sure.
It's something else to talk about, right?
Yeah. Other than don't want to talk about the Yankees too much. So, yeah, that'll do it, I guess.
We'll do that. I guess we'll talk about a little bit of the NHL playoffs, a little bit what's going on there. We'll figure out stuff to do. Maybe Ranger offseason blueprint. That'll be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, we'll keep things interesting.
Yeah, it was a great podcast again, Matthew. Go Knicks, and we'll see you guys next time.